Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. This is the first of like 3 videos I'm doing today because Black Friday and please kill me. So we're going to start out today's, we're going to do tomorrow's, and then I'm going to do the day after that because I think my work's trying to kill me. All right, folks, we'll get back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers, and just can I call out bullshit again? I'll do a video on it later, I'm guessing, just because I'm just that fed up with this shit, but just to rant. Would you people stop taking everything AH's team says and just use it as a means to ruin your day? Why do we care? We already know a bunch of those signatures on that letter is fake. Why are we taking it at face value here? But they said we're biphobic. Who cares? Learn to live like us and the people with disabilities have. Just don't give a shit about what anybody says outside your own community. It doesn't matter. They don't know you. These people do not live in real life in the real world. They can't even figure out that Twitter's not real life yet. But if I have to throw the hat into the ring, Paul back there, who's getting ready to start cooking for us, he doesn't really fall into any category. He's what we call an asexual. None of that shit matters one way or the other. There's other of my friends, Temple being an example, who's in the same way. He supports Johnny because of basic common sense, medical science, and logic. Quit feeding these people. We don't have to justify ourselves for shit. Either stand on the evidence or don't. Evidence speaks for itself. If we feel the need to come raging out the door, defending ourselves, saying we're not this or we're not that, they win. We do not. Just say nothing. Because anything you say, first of all, they're not going to believe a word of it. Second of all, they're going to use it as a weapon against you. Take it from me, who's been in the advocacy game for over a decade. Do not give these people your time. We all know the letter is bullshit, so why are we taking the content so seriously? We know they're on a smear campaign. This isn't news to us. We know they're going to try to smear us with all kinds of labels that aren't true. We know who we are. That's it and it's all. Responding to stupid only lowers us down to their level. It will never elevate them up to ours. We're never going to convince these people. They're the schoolyard bully. You know how you stand up to them? You punch them in the fucking throat, all right? All right. Moving on, because this is getting annoying, folks. The media wouldn't be continuing to talk about this shit if we weren't continuing to rehash it all the time. I'm not saying don't confront the letter. I'm just saying stop letting shit get under your skin from the uneducated, unwashed masses. Right, Paul? Say, he doesn't care. I don't care.
All I care is that my baking sheets are clean because I got meat and pie to cook.
Say, hey, don't let this bitch ruin your holiday. Don't let her get under your skin. I'm not. Sure, I might have. They hit me where it hurt earlier this week. I'm not going to lie, and I reacted. Of course I did. Don't be me, folks. Okay? Alright, so now let's talk about the people they like to forget. Real survivors and real victims. We're talking about the poor people stuck in the hellhole known as the JRC, shall we? Let's forget that liar and let's focus on people who actually need help. Okay, so in the description box, folks, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they do not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read that article. Share on all your social media. We also have linked in there NeuroClassic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually has the balls to see through with their threat. We also have, the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school situation. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending. Substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services nonetheless. Over 21 allegations, claims, and civil lawsuits leveled against it that include sodomy, sexual assault, rape, child abuse, starvation, and child trafficking. You have one staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor who still lives on the premises with full access to the boys there, up on multiple substantiated charges of rape, sodomy, and sexual assault of the boys. You got Eric Schmidt, who basically kicked the can down the road and ran like that coward he is, who's in his cushy seat in Washington, and a governor who's on a fucking power trip, who not only has control of the National Guard based out of Missouri, but also is now trying to do our own Secret Service. Fuck me. Get me out of here. For the love of God, send help. Send help to the... We need to get the fuck out of here. The whole group of us. Me, Jamie, Paul, Des. Get us out. Alright. Send help. Folks, please share those articles on all your social media. Don't forget to share and sign the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use your headphones, all right? Don't forget, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and talk about dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is advised. It is 9:46 a.m. in the morning, and I just can't deal with the stupid that's been on Twitter. Take your mom's advice. Just ignore them, okay? Okay? I can't handle the stupid today. This is Thanksgiving. The last thing I need is to be dealing with her bullshit. So, let's not. All right? Let's hold JD up. Let's hold all neurodiverse people up. And let me celebrate the fact that I know that Anthony Hopkins, my other boy, my other neurodiverse brother there, is also alongside in support, okay? We cool? We good? If I stumble over my words, folks, apologies in advance, all right? Now, I'm going to turn off the bright light behind me because I don't think he needs it anymore, but he may grumble behind me. Take pity on my poor roommate, all right, folks? He's got a lot of cooking to do today, and so do I. Send help. Send help. All right, just a moment. I'll be right back with you. But while I'm doing this trigger warning, we are about to listen to the insane rantings and mad rantings of a lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to be hearing gaslighting, abuse, apologia galore, ableism, victim blaming, and just this idiot trying to blow smoke up our ass, trying to convince us to just trust these people. To me, they're psychotic. It's bullshit and it's bad for you. So, just be prepared for that. Alright, so there's a long ass paragraph of some general bullshit that we're going to be reading through. So let's get started, shall we? Shall we? Alright. Some examples are these. He's going to do victim blaming, folks. He's going to do shock and awe. Be prepared for that. Gouging out one's eyes, causing near blindness, smearing feces, head banging to the point of detaching both retinas or causing a stroke, skin scratching to the point of fatal blood and bone infection, pulling out one's own adult teeth, running into the street with files of moving cars, exhibiting suicidal behaviors such as attempting to hang oneself, swallowing razor blades, taking drug overdose, and jumping out of a moving vehicle or out of a building. What did I tell you? Shock and awe, right? Does he tell you why any of these behaviors occurred? No, folks. And you want to know why? Because he doesn't fucking know and he doesn't want to know. These are extremes. They're also rare occasions, in spite of what the doctor wants you to believe. He wants to infer and impress upon you that every single person he has on the shock device has done these types of behaviors. It's bullshit. That is actually false. Take into consideration the fact that this school has been around since the 70s. With that many of generation after generation of kids coming through, you're going to see this. A lot of the things that he describes come from severe, and I do mean severe, sensory issues. I know because, guess what, doctor? I worked in the field. I'm also autistic myself. So I got double expertise here. So let's talk about some of this. Gouging out one's eyes, causing near blindness, smearing feces, head banging to the point of detaching both retinas. Let's start there. When one puts pressure on one's eyes, we do this. I do it, at least to an extent, especially when I have to deal with a special level of fucking stupid like Dr. Matthew Israel, for example. You want to know what causes these? Granted, this is more of an educated guess. I'm not looking at the case file of the particular individual, but from my educated guess, from my expertise and background, you want to know where a lot of these behaviors come from? Undealt with severe sensory issues. Let me tell you something about autistics in particular, okay? Every last one of us, to the last man, woman, non-binary, trans, or whatever you identify as, I support you. That neither here nor there. Last one of us to the last person has some form of sensory issues. Every last one of us. They are different depending on the autistics, and they are to varying different degrees. Okay? Some of us have even more severe sensory issues, very much so to our detriment than others. Remember, I've described some of my own where I have a very real, visceral reaction to even so much as the smell of milk chocolate. I will go throw up, how do they put it, toss my cookies? I will throw up half my lungs if I am just in the vicinity of the smell. Just the smell. Like I can't be around after I give somebody a candy bar, like him or Sydney, and not like have to leave immediately. And it takes a lot of effort to not throw up if I happen to have ate before that time. Okay? Being in a proximity to a yellow room causes me severe fucking physical pain. The only thing I can describe it, it almost feels like I'm fucking burning alive. I know that sounds batshit, but it affects me that much. The sound of drilling. This actually is a situation that happened when I worked for the FedEx call center some years ago. When it was ongoing throughout the entire day. And it was happening like literally right above me, right above my desk, caused me such sensory distress that I literally bust into hives over every single inch of my body. And that shit did not go away for 3 fucking weeks. Okay? And I'm considered less severe in my sensory issues than some. Some of us have extreme sensory issues. When these sensory issues are not dealt with for the triggers that they very much are, we're going to do just about fucking anything, feel anything, no matter how painful, to make us stop feeling what that sensory issue is causing in us. So what am I talking about here? What are some of the cases that I'm talking about that I dealt with? We're talking about pushing in on eyelids to the point you almost completely push them in the back of your skull. We're talking about, yes, even smearing feces. I had one individual had to do this because they had such a severe sensoric reaction to fluorescent light bulbs that they literally couldn't stand it, and yes, would smear feces, not only all over the walls, but particularly in their ears. Headbanging to the point of detaching both retinas is something that takes place in autistic meltdown. And what causes meltdowns is completely different depending on the person that is having it. And guess what? The same thing every time is not what causes meltdowns. And this doctor here continues to refuse to deal with reality. Who's surprised, huh? We're not doing these self-injurious behaviors during meltdown to get attention. We don't even know what we're doing when we're doing it. Knock, knock, nobody the fuck is home, okay? We are in pure primal animal instinct at that point. Okay? Logic and reason has gone bye-bye. They've packed their bags and they're in Timbuk fucking too, okay? That is actually something frequent for me. I didn't do it that badly. Yes. No, I didn't. But I did some damage to the point that where I can feel, particularly in the back of my head, where those imprints and indentions shouldn't be there, folks. Meltdowns cause self-injury. They cause injury to inanimate objects. And no matter what this doctor tries to tell you, there's no ultimate cure for them. You can minimize them, though, by, again, finding out what are the triggering factors and dealing with them appropriately. Skin scratching to the point of fatal blood and bone infection. You can tell right there that is a sensory issue. I don't even have to tell you that. That is a sensory issue. There is something that they are being forced to do or wear because ABA tells you to, that is making them feel that way. But Dr. Israel and ABA says, no, we're going to force you to wear these things, no matter what discomfort or pain it causes to you, because we don't care. We want you normal. And then we're going to shock you for having the more than predictable reaction where you try to scratch your skin off because we're forcing you to wear something that is sensory hell for you. Pulling one's own adult teeth, that's sensory, folks. We are highly sensitive to taste in particular. In fucking particular. Running into a street full of moving cars, if I were made to go through ABA, I would have done the same thing. Dr. Israel would have told you that I was running towards moving cars as something that should have got me put into his school. My mom would disagree with you. Dr. Israel likes to condemn us for a lot of actions that neurotypical kids also engage in. Can I say that again? Dr. Israel would like to condemn us and hook us up to his torture device for some of the things that neurotypical kids do also. I'll get into more of that here in a moment. Exhibiting suicidal behaviors such as attempting to hang oneself. Gee, I wonder why. Can I speak on that? Most of the autistics I know, myself included, have to endure horrific fucking bullying starting from the very first moment we enter into goddamn preschools. Kids are smart, folks. They pick up on differences. They pick up on how parents treat those kids and the teachers. They're going to target the neurodiverse kid. Whether it's ADHD, autism, dyslexia, you name it, if it's neurodiverse, we're a fucking target, and we're a target from day goddamn one. That type of relentless, nonstop bullying, including when you have the whole fucking class jeering and singing, bullying horrible songs to you, it's going to do one of two things. It's going to put you in a blind rage. Hi, how you doing? I threw a fucking desk. Or it will make you suicidal. Okay? It gets worse as you become a teenager. They get those personal digs in, particularly if you're a female autistic. High school is pure fucking hell. Pure fucking hell. So let's see here. Swallowing razor blades. Again, not normal behavior, not even across the board, depending on the severity that they want you to focus on so much. Razor blades can be considered suicidal behavior, folks. You gotta deal with nothing but bullying. You're being shocked. You're being tortured. Even if you're not, you're still dealing with the ABA bullshit. ABA teaches autistic kids to hate themselves. I can't emphasize this enough. And you can tell me that that's not true all you want to, but when you force a child to do all the fucking things that are actually physically fucking painful for us to do, do not allow us to even do so much as our own self-soothing coping mechanisms such as stimming in order to regulate ourselves. When you continue to hammer home that we, as who we are as authentic autistic human beings, will never be good enough until we force ourselves into these neurotypical behaviors that are alien to us, when you force us to learn how to mask, or we'll never be accepted as who we are, that's going to make anyone suicidal, folks. That's going to make anyone want to swallow a razor blade. It's going to make anyone want to do a drug overdose, or even jump out of a moving vehicle or off a bridge. When you force that kind of self-fucking loathing on a student because they know that deep down They're never going to be what these people want them to be. When you hammer home every fucking day that you do not consider us even really human, that even when we do mask, you still treat us as sub-fucking human, and you still don't give us a seat at the table? Yeah, you react in one of two ways, don't you? Yeah. Let's move on. Some students have shown violent aggression, such as biting, hitting, kicking, punching, or headbutting others. What they won't tell you is how often that's done out of self-defense. See, teachers and Dr. Israel, they always like to condemn the disabled student. What they won't tell you is the events that led up to what they're complaining about. When you have students bullying and pushing and poking and prodding at a particular student, when they are pushed and pushed and pushed, especially autistic and ADHD boys, pushing, hitting, threatening, and then we have an autistic snap, predictably so, and we react, well, then we're the menace. Doesn't matter what anybody done to us beforehand, because we reacted, because we obviously snapped. We're the bad guys. We have to get sent to insane asylum institutions like this to have Dr. Israel torture us into catatonic robot-like state. Not the neurotypical little rich bastard shit who pushed us into it. He gets nothing. He gets pat on the back and called a good boy. If you think I'm bitter, you're right. I've fucking seen it. I heard it. Yeah. Just wanted to put that out there. Again, we and the neurotypical kids who engage in the exact type of same behaviors are not treated the same. Now let's move on. Some have pushed a parent down a flight of stairs, raped others, and tried to strangle a parent while the parent was driving, and beat a peer so severely that the plastic surgery was required. Here we go again. We're going to victim blame. We're going to victim blame. We're going to declare that all of us are completely violent, psychopathic sociopaths who think nothing about me going out there and just murdering every single one of my neighbors and barbecuing them on my front lawn. Even maybe throwing beer in for seasoning. I don't know. It's bullshit. It's complete victim blaming bullshit. But let's talk about it, okay? You can be neurotypical or autistic and do horrific shit. Okay? Autistics do not have the monopoly on being psychopathic killers. Have you seen neurotypicals lately? Because last time I heard Ted Bundy was not autistic. Okay? Last time I heard Jeffrey Dahmer was also not autistic. There's a lot of fucking serial killers out there. Not autistic. Crazy, right? We do not have the monopoly on violent behavior like Dr. Israel would like you to think that we do. Not like the media wants you to think that we do. Once again, we're monsters. We're vilified by the actions of a very small amount of people, used as an excuse to then torture, systematically torture, and destroy us psychologically, emotionally, physically. Yeah. Also, I love when these doctors say, you just don't understand. Again, not only do I have the diagnosis, I lived with the fucker. I was the sexual assault victim, okay? I was the victim of the physical and sexual abuse, of such an individual. Don't tell me I don't fucking understand. I lived it. Not only am I autistic, I was the one who was the victim to an individual who is such mentally his issues, okay? Okay? Let me tell you how such an individual would be affected by shock treatment. They wouldn't be. There was nothing that was going to stop him. Nothing. Dr. Israel tells you they tried anything, and they actually didn't. My folks actually did try everything. Psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, medicine, even some of the shit that Dr. Israel gets up to, they didn't exactly go that far, thank fucking God. They got pretty damn close. Okay? When a person wants to commit heinous acts, there's no amount of torture that's going to fucking stop them from doing it. They may stop doing it for a time on occasion. My perpetrator did for long periods of time. But then it comes back, folks. It never really goes away. You want to know what finally stopped it? What Dr. Matthew Israel doesn't want you to know? Want to know why he's now living a successful, completely normal life with his 2 girls? Wasn't because we sent him to a hellscape like Agape or Judge Rotenberg Center. It was medication. Medication married with counseling. Married with psychiatry, married with psychology. It wasn't easy. It wasn't a quick fix. But you know what? It is literally night and day from who he was when those things were happening to me. He went from being Satan himself to some completely fucking different, completely different individual. You wouldn't even know it was the same human being. And that was done from the very thing that Dr. Israel tries to scare you about. Medication. Proper treatment. All these things married together to fit a particular individual. Changed his life. Changed my life. Changed the life of everybody that was in that house. How would have traumatizing them in this hellscape helped him? How would have starving him helped him? Can I tell you? It would have made him even more violent and dangerous than he ever would have been beforehand. He was already acting out on some shit that had happened to him when he was way young. This shit would have made it all the fucking worse. Because how he dealt with it was rage. And he needed an outlet. And I was the only other non-normal kid in the house. So yeah. That. So think about that. If medication mirrored with proper treatment catered to his particular issues could completely change him into a completely different human being, what can it do for these kids? Just wanted to throw that out there. In fact, some have attempted to injure or kill others, pushing a child in front of oncoming traffic, attempting to smother a human being, stab a teacher, or slice a peer's throat. My stepbrother tried to smother me on multiple occasions. Held a knife to my throat more than I care to count. I have scars on where my boobs developed later, underneath here, where I got caught by a butcher's knife. It's a pretty small now. It used to be much bigger. It shrank since, these grew. On my arms, back, no, I think it's right here. You can't even really see it unless you're like right here. Let's see here. Set homes on fire. Let's see here. He set my trolls on fire. Tried to set my hair on fire. Yeah. Yeah. See what I mean? It didn't take the JRC to stop it. I am throwing a monkey wrench in your general manifesto of bullshit, doctor. Medication, when done right, works. I'm surprised my stepbrother's not a fucking case study. He may be, I don't know. I have to look into that. Some have engaged in prostitution, been involved in gangs, and assaulted others with weapons, including machete and chainsaw. Once again, here's that double standard. We're going to talk about things that neurotypical teens have also engaged in, but we're going to demonize the autistic community for it. It's that double standard bullshit. Feel sorry for the neurotypical kid. They were just dragged into it. They didn't know what they're doing, but the autistic's a fucking monster. We should lock him away with Dr. Israel. Right? You know how many kids get caught in the gangs in the inner cities? Do you really believe, doctor, that every single one of them is someone with a disability or mental illness that you can treat them with shock treatment? No. People get involved with prostitution and gangs, weapons, all of it, for a whole bunch of different reasons. Okay? You get involved with prostitution when you fucking need money and you've got nothing else. You get involved with gangs if you live in the inner cities. And there's not exactly a whole lot of opportunities that you're providing for those with minorities, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. Assaulted others with weapons, including machete and chainsaw. Again, last time I checked, a lot of the serial killers I've read about, and believe me, I got an insane hyper focus and I love true crime. I'm autistic with a hyper focus. Get out of my way. Okay? Majority of those, not autistic or developmentally disabled. Not all of them have the type of mental health issues that are going to end you up at a school like Dr. Israel's here. This man's not treating psychopaths or sociopaths as he would have you believe, folks. And he conveniently leaves out that the majority of the folks entering into the things that he's talking about is not us. It's the neurotypical people. Okay? All of these are behavior problems that students have shown prior to enrolling at JRC, and JRC has undertaken to treat in the past 39 years. So what is he trying to tell us with this long bullshit paragraph here? He's holding the double standard. He'll tell us about all of our sins, but he's not going to mention that there are people within our own age group in neurotypical society under simple, certain environmental and financial circumstances that do the exact same things. But they're painted as sympathetic figures while we're painted as unfeeling, sociopathic, psychological, unemotional, freaking monsters. Yeah, there's a real double standard there. So people like Dr. Israel's like, well, you lock them up with me. You lock them up with me. I'm going to give them this fucking torture treatment, and I'm going to rule through fear and make all the problems go away. But there's a problem with that, you see. When you don't take in what is triggering these behaviors, when you don't dig, when you are so full of your fucking self that you just assume you know everything about an individual before they even get a chance to open their mouth, you're more likely to cause further trauma, not less. You're more than likely to end up down the road making those behaviors far worse than they ever were before, plus adding some new ones on top of it, than you are to cure them. This is what I'm talking about dealing in reality here. When it comes to people who comes into these things, this doctor will not take in consideration social economical considerations. He won't take in sensory situations if you're autistic. He won't take into consideration that all that behavior is communication. Okay? None of this. None of this. He won't even hear of the fact that when medication is done right, married with the right type of treatment, you can end up with a completely different person down the road. No, he's going to sell you the quick fix. And desperate parents all too often drink the Kool-Aid, folks. All they see are the results. They don't know what caused the results. And they don't find out until later down the line. But not only do those behaviors come back, but they become far worse than they ever were before, do they realize just what it was that Matthew Israel has done. You can't torture these tendencies out of people. The best thing to do is to get to the root of them. I'm going to go ahead and close out on that, prepare for my next vid. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. A very Merry Thanksgiving to one and all. Between now and here, I'm going to get some of that cheese ball. I do hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.